Ms. Crowley.
Present.
Mr. Morenin.
Present.
Ms. Wetzel.
Present.
Mr. Lipset.
Present. All right, first up, we have approval of 5-6 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve May 6th, 24 minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, that brings us to the report of the superintendent and staff and a redistricting update. Dr. Crowley.
Sure. I don't have a PowerPoint. The agenda's been modified, obviously, and I want to speak to why we modified the agenda, if I can. First of all, I want to continue to state that we need to redistrict the Woburn Public Schools. It's a priority. I think it's a priority for students to get an equitable education in our city. I think it's a priority for our staff to work in an equitable environment, and to our families here who support us. So I want to, again, reiterate the need to redistrict as it relates to the Woburn Public Schools. So why did we amend the agenda? How did we get here tonight? In preparation for tonight's meeting, where we were going to look at option 1A or whatever the phraseology was or is, we started working yesterday morning to verify and validate each and every student in the Woburn Public Schools by hand. And I'll pause for a second because the principals are here tonight, and I want to acknowledge the elementary principals and Tom Quayle, the middle school, the Joyce principal, for being here, but also for your hard work over the past few weeks on this initiative. And when I say verify and validate, what I'm talking about is going student by student by student by student by student by student by student and identifying what school they attend and where they were going to move. I articulated on Monday, I'll call it a fear of telling a student or a family that they were going to be redistricted, and then all of a sudden, oops, wrong. That seems incredibly disruptive to a family and to a student, and we can't make mistakes when we're dealing with students and their education and where they're going to school. And so yesterday, again, in this room, in part because it's one of the only air-conditioned rooms at the Joyce, we worked using the board that's projecting over there and going through lists of students. We found pockets of students who were listed at one school but actually attending another school. And so as the day wore on, initially there were small numbers. The numbers continued to grow, and our concern also grew as the numbers of students that might be moving would move. So if you go back to the impact tables that you've seen, and one of the reasons for a redistrict that was selected was the lower number of students. One of the concerns that we felt yesterday, or I felt yesterday, was that the number of impacted students was growing. And the feeder school information would then not be accurate. And so we contacted our consultant and talked with him about the discrepancies that we were finding. And it really led to a perfect storm. The issues that came about were, while we knew, as an example, and we worked with the consultant in real time to modify maps, the Avalon actually goes to the Goodyear, and so we adjusted the maps with the consultant in real time. You'll see that in your handouts. the maps from Woburn were outdated. That was because we haven't redistricted in a long time. It was pointed out to us that that might be a possibility, and we did our best to work with the consultant on that. The consultant also suggested that they use a GIS code to assign schools, so they often assign schools the closest school to where a student lives, not necessarily where they currently attend school. And so, again, perfect storm. And it's because of the vigilance, in my opinion, of the principals and the leadership team that this was found. I would rather have this bad night than further compound a mistake. And so I contacted Mr. Lipset yesterday during the day, but then ultimately came in late afternoon and updated him on where we are. I've spoken to the mayor today. He is aware of this conversation now, but has also authorized us to work. The city has a GIS person who is going to work to update maps that we can then provide to the consultant. If we were in March or April, I think we'd have time. It's June 5th, and I think we owe it to our kids and families and staff to know where they're going to go to school or work in September. And so that's why we are where we are, and I'm happy to answer any questions or allow anyone else to speak.
Thank you, Dr. Crowley. Any questions for Dr. Crowley at this time? Ms. Crowley.
If we were to correct the data on an error, how long would it take to produce new maps that were verified hand by hand?
So the answer.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at.
Yeah,
be
so
asking you, I apologize.
I'll answer the questions. The answer from the consultant is up to at least a week. So they can move in real time, but again, the city needs to update their maps. We provide that, and then so we would be looking towards the end of June potentially.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Crowley? Ms. West.
It's a comment, not a question. I just want to thank you for all your hard work, to the administration, to the principals, and for the principals for being here. I'm very grateful, like Dr. Crowley said, that we caught this air now versus catching it over the summer after we have voted on a plan. So thank you. I know this has been an emotional roller coaster for everybody, and I cannot imagine inside the buildings what that looks like and inside these rooms. So I appreciate all the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to point out that we did the Woburn Public Schools, and it was in the message that was sent. We've provided correct information to the consultant. Like I said, it was a perfect storm.
Ms. Cormier.
Thank you. I just wanted, like, same comment, that this is the step in the process. This is the point of the process where that happens. And so if anybody was concerned that this wasn't done in March, there's a reason that happened, that there's a set of steps, and that's why we came to this point yesterday, as opposed to months ago. People were concerned.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the validation and verification should happen. You know, we should have done it, and we'll do it sooner.
I just wanted to point out, people were saying, oh, this is moving very fast, and why didn't you do this part earlier? But there are steps that have to go before this, I guess is what I wanted to point out, so that people weren't concerned that you were dragging your feet on the validation part. We wanted very clear plans, but you don't make 5 very, very clear plans before picking the plan and then throwing those 4 away. And so it was a step in the process, is what I wanted to point
Oh,
out.
thank you, yes, right.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier. Ms. Crowell.
Yeah, Ms. Corey makes a good point. We had asked for 5 plans, and you know, Dr. McKibben was like, you know, usually districts have like 2, and we asked for 5. And so I think that also complicated 3. And by the way, 3 of them were, you know, a pretty drastic step of closing a school. So I think that, you know, I don't know, that compounded things, and just acknowledging that. And also, it does make sense that if we haven't redistricted, there's going to be like, I don't know,
Outliers.
side deals made, and schools closed, and the Clap and the Goodyear combined, and then the Hurled Wyman combined. And so I think that, you know, probably should have redistricted back in 2009 with the Clap Goodyear. And I think a lot of that is the outcome of things like that. And then there's new development, and then, you know, not, the maps don't always follow that. And then principals work among themselves to sort of alleviate the space issues. And, you know, I can see why that happened. So I consider this to be, in a way, I mean, I'm horribly disappointed, but I'm trying not to focus on that. I think moving forward, this is a good step to really getting all of it out so we can really rebuild from here. And that's how I'm looking at it at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything else for the superintendent at this time? Okay. So we are going to open the floor to public comment. A reminder that members of the public have 3 minutes to address the committee, and that I ask that you not direct any personal attacks at members of the Woburn Public Schools staff. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? If you could just state your name and address.
My name's Arnold Ross. I live on 3 Phillip Street. I have 3 kids at the Hurled Wyman. I would like to say that I actually think this is a good thing that this happened and paused what's going on, because trying to redistrict after 40 years and 2 months, you know, that we're not going to get the best option and the best plan in place trying to do it so quickly. I think this allows everyone to take a breath, think about it, and then probably at some point in the future start addressing everyone's concerns. I would also like to say, Superintendent, you said it would be a mistake to go forward. There are still overcrowding issues that need to be dealt with. And, you know, it would be a mistake to allow kids to be taught in hallways, to have classes in libraries, to have art and music on carts, especially as we advance so much focus on technology. The arts and music become increasingly important. And just having 24, 25 kids in a class is not a conducive learning environment. 3 of you are teachers. Would you want to be teaching those conditions? That many kids, you know that the kids aren't getting the focus and the attention that they need because your attention is so divided amongst all of them. And I hope that something can be done to address some of those concerns by the start of the school year, just as a temporary measure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee at this time? Come on up. If you could just state your name and address. I don't know, do you have anything written or anything?
No.
No, okay, that's fine.
My name is Jackie Kiley. I am at 80 Main Street. I have a daughter who is currently in 3rd grade at the Goodyear. I live by Horn Pond, and it might have been the old Clap district. I'm not sure. I haven't been in Woburn for that long. I'm just going to speak how it's like affecting my family personally, where my daughter, with the option 1 proposal, my daughter would be moving to a different elementary school for 2 years, and then going to the Joyce Middle School. But the way that the redistricting is set up is that the Goodyear School, a lot of the kids from the Goodyear School go to the Kennedy, and a lot of the kids from the Malcolm White, I think it is, the one next to the high school, a lot of those kids also go to the Kennedy Middle School. And then my daughter, where we are, there's kind of like a little pocket of that district that must have been the old cop school that is going to the Joyce. So she's going to be going to a school that she's not going to know any of the staff there. She's not going to know a lot of the kids. I think there's like 4 kids in her grade on the bus that she takes. So when she transitions to a new school, she's going to be starting over essentially. And then only for her to start over again 2 years later for another 3. And she won't see those other kids until high school if she remembers them at all. So I just wanted to remind you all that there are kids behind all the decisions that you are making, and just to be mindful of kind of like the social, emotional aspect of the impacts that you guys are making, as well as the equitable decisions that you're making as well, which I'm all for. But yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee? Go ahead.
I'm Caitlin Skinner. I am a parent of 3 Harold Wyman students. I think everyone knows I'm disappointed. I think everyone knows that my kids are in classes of 24 and 26, and I find it frustrating that other schools have 3 teachers for 44 kids, where we have 3 teachers for 74. I think most of you know I've also looked at prior meeting notes, and one thing that struck me was at a meeting in March, Ms. Young said that even if we do nothing, some kids will still have to be redistricted. So my question is, what's next? I get that we're here, I get that it sucks, I get that. But my question is, we're here. Do we still need to keep doing art on a cart? Do we still need to have that? Can we have additional staff so that makes it so that recess for 130 kids at one time isn't Lord of the Flies out there? What can we do to help them now? I get that you can't do a full thing, but please, don't do nothing.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee? You can state your name and address.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. My name is Bernice Friedman. I was here a few weeks before. I'm a proud parent of a Shamrock student, and I am still a proud Shamrock mom. A few weeks ago, I was here warning all of you and asking all of you to be reasonable with time. Instead, you forced the vote in just 2 weeks, and now here we are. We crashed. We metaphorically crashed. And this is impacting all of us. Instead of us having a good time outside on this warm, beautiful day, we're all here to try to understand how this happened, how we ended up here. Even remember the peers, your peers in this committee warned to slow things down. And maybe if you had heeded all of our warnings, we wouldn't be here today. Nobody argues that we have a problem. I think we all acknowledge that our school district has problems, but you don't just fix the whole house without knowing if you have the budget, without knowing if you have the full staff on board, without knowing if you have the resources to do it. We all want to help, but please be reasonable. We asked that since the beginning. So, vote first, fact check later. That's what I learned today. That's what happened. You voted first without fact checking the details that you were given. If this was an article on the front page of the Boston Globe, the writers would have been fired for not doing their jobs. This is an embarrassment in our community. We voted on you. We had confidence on you to make the decisions that are tough for all of us and to help us to understand these tough decisions. And I'm sorry that I am so just fired up about this, because this should not have happened. This should not have happened. This mistake is an embarrassment on our community. And I'm glad that the TV news is not here to see this. We're all supposed to be passionate about education, teaching our kids to do the right things, to be analytical with their decisions, and yet we did the opposite. We did the opposite. Please, let the parents, let the teachers be part of the discussion and not just trust one contractor's set of data points. We have a lot of smart people in this community. Reach out. Have these community conversations beyond just the walls of this room. So please, let's reset. I appreciate that we're all admitting error here, but really, we did not make a mistake. It's not we. Let me be clear about that. There are some people in this community who warned against this, to prevent this. So please, let's learn from this moment to not repeat it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
You're going to get sick of seeing my face. Ann Crawford, Shamrock School. And I was asked by a few parents and students, so I tried to put my thoughts. I had to calm down a little bit once we got our thing, but I'm going to try to do my best. I would be remiss if I didn't speak tonight to say I'm frustrated, angry, disappointed, and a multitude of other feelings would be an understatement, as I am sure I'm not alone. This redistricting mess began over 3 months ago, at which time some members of the committee, along with parents, teachers, and community members, asked for it to be put on hold. As we said, we know there's a problem. We know our schools are crowded. But the redistricting takes time, planning, examining, and should have had all the pieces put in place before making a public decision, as we're finding out now, and better now than later. Our community, especially the Shamrock School, has been put through undue stress, unhappiness, and overall fear of the unknown. You've toyed with people's emotions, and especially our children, that is still crying on a daily basis in my classroom, and well-being. A halt with the process, which could have been avoided 3 months ago if you had thought through this plan. The Woburn school community has been on pins and needles since this process started. We have changed plans, arranged for childcare, moved other commitments so we could attend these meetings in hopes that we would receive answers. We were told 2 hours before a meeting was scheduled that it was canceled and had to be rescheduled. We attended the next meeting and were told that it was needed to be discussed and time allowed for the community to digest yet another option, and it would be voted on at the next meeting. Well, here we are today. At 2 o'clock, we were once again told there would be no vote and the redistricting would be put on hold due to several unanswered questions. These same questions that were brought forward 3 months ago. People are frustrated. and have lost trust in those that we elected to do the best job for our schools, students, teachers, and families. Now, we are once again given the task of telling our children that things have changed yet again. My hope is that you will continue to work out the kinks and be better prepared with a plan that should not be publicized, maps drawn out, till it is absolutely studied and all avenues have been exhausted. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jolene Silva, and I live on Green Street. I have 3 children in Woburn Public Schools, one here at the Joyce, one at the high school, and one at the Shamrock in 4th grade. I am also one of the resource nurses for Woburn Public Schools, and I have been on the Shamrock School PTO for over 10 years. Personally, this redistricting will not affect me or my children next year. I will have 2 at the high school, and in all options, 1 through 5, my Shamrocker would not move. As I am a resource nurse for Woburn Public Schools, I have also worked in all 10 schools in the district. And if my 4th grader was to be redistricted to any one of the elementary schools or her middle school was changed, I know she would be just fine. While I have worked in all the schools, I have seen firsthand the overpopulation issues. I agree with the administration and the school committee that this is a problem. I agree that we need to redistrict. However, when option 1 was voted on, I did not agree. My Shamrock community members and I wrote about our concerns and the increased disparities option 1 created for our school. I felt like our concerns were taken into consideration because option 1A was created. This has been an emotional roller coaster for many, including all of you, school committee, administration. Now the redistricting is on hold due to a substantial number of students missing from the maps. My hope now is that you take my new concern into consideration. Please, if you do decide to redistrict in the future, work collaboratively to fully plan before you present it to the public. My other request is that you give the staff, students, and family at least 6 months to prepare for the redistricting process. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee? You just say your name and address.
Yep,
Thank
my
you.
name is Kelly. I live on Akeson Road. I have 2 kids at the Harold Wyman. And earlier tonight, it was said it would be such a mistake if we went ahead and told kids that they were going somewhere and then switched them to a new school. But that's exactly what hundreds of us have already done. We told our kids, you're not going to the Harold Wyman anymore, you're going to the Reeves. And that took an emotional turn on all of us. It crushed a weekend of us away to celebrate Memorial Day. It ruined the weekend because my kids realized they were not going to be with their friends at Harold. It is apparent that you did not listen to what the public had to say, the hundreds of emails that you guys said you got, the public comment that have been here. We've been listening. We've said all of these things that are now coming to fruition right now. And it is obvious that, yes, we need a redistrict, but if we had voted, or you had voted, to pause this and get Plan B in place, we would have had 3 weeks to get that ready for September. And now here we are, June. Kids are finishing school, and we're starting over.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee?
Hi, everybody. Christina Mackinnon, 16 Rag Rock Drive, also a teacher at the Malcolm White. So we all know this whole process has seemed to be backwards and confusing for most parents, teachers, and citizens of Woburn. Moving forward, we all know that change is desperately needed. Once we have the new numbers and maps and all of our updated information, there's got to be consideration for what our schools currently look like. I gave you a little bit of an idea before, when I spoke before. Some of the schools are just beyond overcrowded. There also has to be thorough consideration about the various programs that are offered at different schools, where the students will thrive, the capability of the capacity of the building, sorry, I'm just trying to think. I'm throwing this together. That will ultimately make a huge impact on our schools, where these programs are located. I often say, just ask a teacher. Not to like toot our own horns, but just ask a teacher often comes out of my mouth. They're thoughtful, creative, adaptive, patient, collaborative, and have a wealth of knowledge. I just feel like if the design of schools, classrooms, professional development, playgrounds had teachers involved, I feel like the end result would be much more productive.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee? Okay. Seeing no one, we will close public comment. That brings us to the last item on our agenda, and that is redistricting reassessment. As Dr. Crowley said at the start of the meeting, the issues and disparities that have arisen in the data and the maps requires a change in direction from the committee. So what I would like to do is open the floor to comments and potential motions. We can talk about exactly what those motions might be. Should the committee determine that we should pause or rescind the vote that we took on May 23rd, that would be a motion to rescind.
Make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to rescind the vote that the committee took on May 23rd to move forward with option 1 and redistrict. Any discussion on that motion? Ms. Crowley.
I'll start by saying that one of the complexities of redistricting is that all of the stakeholders are actually correct all at the same time. That it is overcrowded at the Harold Wyman and we need to do something. But at the Shamrock, we don't necessarily need to do something because that school is thriving. So we were at a very difficult situation where we had multiple stakeholders with varying experiences and varying strong opinions. So I'm just really proud of this committee, the way we processed through it. It wasn't easy. And in fact, it got very difficult. People are not always kind. But we got through it, and I want to commend my colleagues on doing so. I have no choice but to be in favor of this motion because the administration is telling us that they no longer can proceed. And I back that up 100%. I'm very grateful for all the work that we tried to do in a short period of time. I also think it gives us a deeper dive into our early childhood program situation because that is taking up 13 of our classrooms at the elementary school level, so it's a good idea to reconsider redistricting alongside of the early childhood program task force. I think it will really bring about good results. I agree that having more stakeholders involved, I want to thank the stakeholders that reached out to be on the ECP task force that are on the teaching level. I think that will be really great. So I support this motion. I appreciate the work that everyone did. I am so grateful for the principals for being here and bringing this to our attention in the first place. And quite frankly, the bravery that you've shown in dealing with the issues in the schools. And I know I have full faith in the administration that they will come up with a really nice plan now that we're putting this, or now that I'm in favor of putting this on pause. And I look forward to hearing about that once we process through a couple weeks. So Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Crowley. Anything else on the motion? No? Ms. Wetzel, go ahead.
I can't say it better than Ellen. I'm in favor of this motion as well. It's very clear that we need to relook at everything prior to moving forward with the plan so we can do what's right for our community. I, too, am grateful for all the work that's been done. I don't think it's been done in vain. I think we've done a lot of good work here. I think there's more work to continue to do. Agreed with involving the community as much as possible and the stakeholders in that process. And it's been said, we have a lot of smart people in our city. We do. And I'm in full favor of waiting, involving more people, and doing what's best for our kids, and still redistricting, but not for this coming school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Ms. Chisholm.
I was in favor of slowing this down to begin with. I just thought that we were crunch time and mistakes get made, and it was just too rushed. We had too many options thrown at us and changes being made, and again, without a budget, which scares me tremendously. That was one of my driving forces. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we may get hit with a budget tomorrow night that will end up losing staff and that's just not the way you do redistricting on top of that. But I do want to say that I hope that once we get our October numbers next year, we start right away and we know exactly what we're doing. We use what we have paid for, and we've spent a lot of money and time and God knows weekends, days, nights from all the administrators, that we build on that. And then we update that information. We don't recreate the wheel that we have, but we use it in a different speed. And we let hopefully be done by January, February, so that people will know, and maybe over like February vacation or April vacation, we can open our buildings. Teachers don't have to be there, but open up our buildings so that the new kids coming in can actually walk into a school and get familiar with the school, and it can be a smooth process and kids can adapt to it a lot better. And then hopefully it's, not, you should go into the good, now you go on the Malcolm White, no, you might go to the Shamrock. I mean, I just don't want kids to do that. It's hard enough changing once, and we'll have a better handle on what we have for money and positions. It's coming in October, and take our time and do it right. And get input from teachers, and maybe get the plans and bring them to the school. Once we have a good foundation of, yes, this is going to be supported, to the buildings, and let them kind of have input there on their own turf so that they can let us know that works. So we don't make the mistakes like at the Shamrock that we made. I mean, we made mistakes, but we've learned from them. And we'll move forward, and hopefully all will be well next year. But we also know we have to work at the Harold Wyman, and we have to do work at the Goodyear, and we have to address those concerns, and they will. And I have full, understanding and support, and we'll do whatever we can to help those schools. And I'm sure the administrators, they've done it this year, they can do it again next year. Won't be pleasant, but we'll get there. And we just want to keep the lines of communication open, and I hope all the parents that have written to us and emailed us and called us stay involved and let us know that you're there. And we do hear you, we really do. And I just want to make sure that you know that we understand. Most of us here are parents, we know what kids do and how they feel, so we will go forward, and we will involve you and keep everybody there. But I also hope you support us with our budget. I pulled Mike, sorry, took your steam.
Quite all right.
Thank you, Mrs. Chisholm.
We'll go from there.
Ms. Cormier and then Mr. Moore.
You can have it. Sure. Thank you. I initially did think that it would be wise to take a pause when it started, but then the reality of the crises at some of our schools really hit me, and so I do agree with the breath we are taking right now. It's just not feasible at this point, and I agree with the administration, and I appreciate the incredible amount of work that they've done. It's difficult to balance the real problems we're having at the schools, but also keeping everyone informed. Everybody wants more communication. We want to communicate more, but then that leaves us open, and that it comes back and bites us when things change, because that's how things change. I really appreciate all of the input from the community. I have so many notes from the emails and all the conversations, and I will continue to add to that and use that going forward. And as I think Ms. Crowley would say, I would appreciate grace from everyone involved, because it truly is, it's a lot. It's something that none of us have done on this committee in our time in Woburn, obviously. And so we're all learning, and we all want what's best for the kids. And like she said, everyone is right. Everyone has their own situation that is working for them or is not, and a lot of times those things clash. So it's trying to do the best we can with what we have. And thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Corey. Mr. Moran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, indicated by the members here tonight, I appreciate all the input tonight. Ms. Crowley makes a great point, moving forward with the Early Childhood Center. I also want her building committee / city building committee task force to also work towards a building plan for creating a new school up in the North Woburn district, which kind of fell by the wayside. Again, another factor in all of this mix-up, that's happening here tonight. So there's got so many unknown factors that are still going to be thrown into the pot, stirred around, and I know working with the people and parties to be, we'll move forward, building by building if we need to, and make it work for September moving on. But definitely, I think it's a great idea to pause this evening and move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moran. Anyone else? Mr. Oswald.
I'll speak. Some may say that we have failed, and what I would say in reference to that is, one thing I taught my soccer kids was there's success and failure. One thing is that you can learn from the mistakes you've made, and you can move forward and do better going in the future. And so I'm not even upset about what took place. I think it's inevitable. Things happen. I wouldn't start pointing fingers at anyone. I'm totally not upset at all. I just think that going forward we can do better and continue to open communication and just allowing the community to continue to open and give their input. I like the idea of the task force. I think that is brilliant. I think this is a great opportunity to do that.
Ellen likes meetings.
Brilliant. Let the record reflect.
Yes.
Jeannie got that.
Sorry, Jeannie.
No, I just wanted to speak on that. I just feel like there's some anger within what took place, and I always tell my kids, if you don't fail, that means you haven't tried. So at least if there is failure, that means you have tried and you went forward, and it's okay to fail. Just keep moving forward. So see the silver lining in the midst of everything. See the positivity there. That's all.
Took your word.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald.
And just to follow up, a couple of us at this table have done redistricting when we closed the Clapp School, the only school in the South End, and my mother reminded me until the day she went to God. So we have done it, and people have lost schools, and that was a really, really tough call we had to do back then, and actually that school got broken up to 2 elementary schools. So we've done it, and we've lived through it, and kids have survived. So we'll do it again, but we'll make sure that it's done in enough time.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's really important. If I misspoke, Ms. Chisholm, I apologize.
That was probably for me, and I was speaking about a full redistrict, but
I just wanna make
clearly
sure that
she took that personal.
Oh,
So
okay, all right.
So we did your
Let
redistricting.
her-
We lived through it. We'll do
I
it.
didn't mean to rag on
Yeah.
2009. Okay.
All right.
Back in the day.
If there is nothing else from the committee, all right, let's move the motion. So this is a motion to rescind the vote of May 23rd to move ahead with option 1. All in favor of rescinding that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let the record show that it was a unanimous vote.
Ms. Lippett, and I don't know how this is going to come out. I'll make a motion that we sort of adjourn, no. I'll make a motion that we direct administration to sort of come up with just to inform the committee what a alternative plan will look like. And maybe, I don't know if what the committee thinks about this, but exploring things that we had talked about, I don't know, I think there was February once, about sort of choice pods and things like that, and I don't know if there's anything like that the administration would want to revisit. One of the options we had was regionalizing schools and having like a pocket choice, and I don't know, and I'm not opening up any cans right now, but I know there was some things that we were innovating early on. So
Okay.
there's a motion in there somewhere.
Okay.
So it's basically directing the administration to come up with an alternative plan to redistricting to alleviate the space capacity issues.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. On that motion, Mrs. Chisholm.
At the present time, I just don't want to give the administration anything else to do, at least for breathing time. Let's get through the budget, let's get through it. They will make plans, they will open schools, they have outstanding principals, administrators in every building, and I'm sure they'll do it. And I'm sure we'll have a plan, there will be something done, but I just don't want them to all of a sudden be directed tonight to start doing another.
No, I was thinking like a month,
Okay.
a long view. 'cause
Okay.
I don't want to speak for the group. I mean, I think that these aren't conversations that haven't been happening.
Right.
So
Right.
I certainly think that we're pretty, I mean, I think we can, not that I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we can turn around this without it. We've been working alongside. We're not starting again.
Right.
Sure.
It's kind of like what you do for a living.
Yes, we're prepared to have the conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to just acknowledge that work, that this is incredibly difficult work, and that our leadership team, principals, have been planning for all eventualities and understanding what we might need to do moving forward if redistricting doesn't work, and we are now at that point. So I'd like to thank those collective efforts, along with the collective efforts of the team in working towards redistricting as we were pursuing that. So thank you.
There's a motion.
It is a motion. That's fair, and I should not have said that. Okay. So any other discussion on the motion?
Anyway.
Yeah. Ms. Watson?
Just to clarify, I agree that we shouldn't, I think we moved quickly, right? And we are now taking a pause on something, so I think to move quick again, we need to be careful in that. So I do want to make sure that if we do pass this motion, that we're clear on a timeline, like it's not going to happen tomorrow, and it sounds like those conversations are already happening. So I just want to be mindful of time and the time that's already been spent on this and not jumping into something new right away. I think that's just important.
Mrs. Chisholm?
Yeah, I just don't think we need to make a motion to tell them to do their job. So I don't want you to be insulted if I say no, because I don't want to put anything on their plate because they'll do their job.
Just on the motion,
Yeah.
thank you through the chair to Mrs. Chisholm. My thinking was we kind of created a vacuum, and people watching, the public might be thinking, well, what happens next? And so I was just kind of laying something out. But if you feel like it's not a motion, I mean, it's definitely not in need of a motion form. So I'll withdraw that, because now we've recognized that the administration's going to update the school committee on what the next steps are. I'm going to stop talking right now. Thank you.
I will point out we have a motion and a second, so we can't rescind the motion at the moment. We do have to take a vote on it.
She can take her second back, and she can withdraw her motion.
Would you like to take your second back?
No, we can vote.
All right. Then, let's go ahead and vote.
Calling it savage.
Had a long 3 months. People's phones.
Anything else?
While I'm trying to talk.
Anything else on this motion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Let's roll call.
Okay, yeah, we're going to do a roll call on that one. Dr. Crowley, go ahead.
Mr. Austin?
No.
Ms. Chisholm?
No.
Ms. Cormier?
In favor.
Ms. Crowley?
Yes.
Mr. Morenon?
No.
Ms. Wetzel?
No.
Mr. Lipset?
No.
Here we go.
All right. So,
You know your job.
I have full faith. I have full faith that the administration team, the leadership team, the principals will be able to rise to this challenge as they have risen to every other. So,
Motion to adjourn.
all right, there we go. So any second on that motion? All right, all in favor of adjournment?
Aye. Let me pass that motion.
Here we go.